to rich mix and using as much curves as we can to go down to the first corner. We end up going 3 wide with Kimi Raikkonen and Massa on the right. He manages to lose out to the both of us, I believe, as we head down to turn 3 and almost make contact with a number of cars diving down the outside, and Webber cuts back across us, and doing so goes over the curb, slows down, gives us the position, so that will teach him for trying to completely crowd us off the circuit. And in the space of 3 corners, we do gain our P5 needed to meet the objective set by the team at the end of the race. So we come down to turn 4 and go for a mighty dive bomb against Alonso. No idea what I was thinking, how I was going to get that done. Webber tries to overtake, ends up having to brake as he almost goes into the back of us, and that allows Kimi Raikkonen to get through as we head round to turn 5, 6 and 7. A nice flowing complex, one that I really enjoyed when you get it right, and same with 8 and 9 here. But I do tend to run a little bit wide on the exit of 9, so we're going to have to look out for that, because I do get a bit cheeky with track limits this race. As we skip to 4 laps later, the top 4 begin to pull away, and I make a little mistake. Kimi Raikkonen goes through, and I'm thinking, that's sort of him gone at this point. Fortunately, he goes into the pits, and as we cross the start-finish line to enter lap 6, we're told to come into the pits. So I stick it in rich mix, so we get 5/10 or half a second quicker than our previous lap, so hopefully that will be enough to protect from the undercut from Kimi Raikkonen. He is ahead at this point, so if we can get a good stop in, we might be fighting with him on exit. Kimi Raikkonen at the moment in 17th position. We come to the pit exit. We're told there's going to be traffic on the pit exit. There wasn't. Kimi Raikkonen, I think, was held up by traffic behind. So we managed to keep the position, or get the position back, I should say, seeing as he was ahead of us at the pit exit. So we come on to a number of laps later. Got to try and catch Massa ahead, who is ahead of us in P6 in the Drivers' Championship. So if we're going to try and get that P6 back in the Championship, we're going to need to catch him up. And it was a little bit of a struggle, but thankfully, Carter Kane at his home Grand Prix, he's having an abysmal time down in last place in front of his home crowd, manages to slow Massa around turns 10 and 11, enough for me to get within fighting distance. To come down to turn 3 the next lap, and I almost do the same as what I did in lap 1, except with less cars, almost plowing to the back of Massa, and to dive down the outside to avoid any contact. We go on to the longest straight on the circuit, DRS active, and like I was saying, once you get DRS behind someone, you do catch up, but it's not like the move is guaranteed. So we look for the dive bomb like we did on Alonso. We're too far back at this point. Head round to head towards turn 5. We're still behind Massa, and it's not that we're in the closing stages of the race, but we are heading towards that time, so I'm trying to get as close to Massa as possible to give me enough time to make the move before the end of the Grand Prix. End up pushing a little bit too hard though, and we get some debris on our tyres as we run wide, going around 10 and 11, and this is normally where the car ahead can get away, because I don't have the best line through 10 and 11. Come through down to 13 and 14, and that inside orange sausage curb again, falling a bit victim to it as I try and gain as much time as possible. And I think at this point I just begin to back off, saying, you know what, P7, it's good points considering where we are. I don't think I'm going to be able to overtake Massa. I just don't have the pace to, firstly, to keep up with him, and even if we were, I don't think I'd have the pace to exceed him. So Kimi Raikkonen eventually catches up, and I didn't see, I locked up my brakes going into 15. Kimi Raikkonen trying to go down the inside in a gap that was always going to close, take his front wing a little bit, no damage, but just give him a little clip. And look at the closing speed as we head down to turn 1 on the start finish straight from Kimi Raikkonen. I'm surprised he didn't get the move rounds, to be honest. A couple of laps later though, Webber, a second faster than us for the majority of the Grand Prix, gets past Kimi Raikkonen and is now looking to get a move on us as we head down through turns 13 and 14 once more. This time I do believe we get a better exit. We don't clip the inside curve and lose some downforce, but he is on his way. So we've got to be careful here because we've only got 3 laps to go, if you include the one we're on. Webber was going to get us. He was that much faster. I thought this is the point on the DRS straight. He's just going to get us. Luckily, Pedro de la Rosa, I think probably having contact, considering how far he is behind with Kartikeyan, slows down to let us by, and as a result, Webber slows down to avoid hitting him. So it gives us a bit of a reprieve. A lap later though, Webber closes that gap once more, just showing how fast he was and how slow I was around this circuit. It's come around through 10 and 11. He is very close at this point, and too close for his own good, because on the exit, you can just hear there, make some contact with this, go run straight into the back. I think that's his frustration, just get into him there. You can see in the background our teammate and Kimi Raikkonen going round the outside of Webber. So Raikkonen up into 7th, but we've got a bit of clear air behind us, so we're going to use this buffer to try and get away as far as possible. It is inevitable that Raikkonen is going to close up, and he does so again in the turn 13 and 14 complex. So it seems that sector 3 is where I'm going to struggle, so that's something to look out for on next year's game while we're here. Kimi Raikkonen behind, getting very close, but not close enough. Lewis Hamilton wins the Indian Grand Prix as we come over the line, one place down from the objective set by the team. So muted celebrations. I still think P6 is a good finish for us. I'm not sure why P5 was the objective in the first place. It does seem a bit high for a car of our performance, but nonetheless, we do finish. Felipe Massa is ahead of us, so he's going to extend a 2-point lead over us in the Drivers' Championship. But for us, we move on to Q1 at the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi, and for the first time I've ever seen in the F1 games, it is raining Abu Dhabi. Fortunately, in qualifying, the only highlight is I was on a lap and it's coming to the end and just fell off the circuit. I didn't improve, I was out in Q1. That's the highlight of qualifying. I was out in Q1, so how far we've fallen from a P5 finish last race. Let's see what we can do here. We go to 5 red lights at the Abu Dhabi circuit as the lights are being held for a little bit longer than usual. They're out and away we go. We get a good initial launch on Jean-Eric Verne straight into Rich Mix, and using a little bit of curves as we head down to turn 1. Petrov trying to get a move on the outside. We go down on the inside. We get the position from Verne on the exit, and Senna with another week, another jink. We almost crash into Schumacher, but there's cars going slowly ahead, so we're going to use this opportunity to get some positions ahead. Perez on the inside of Kimi Raikkonen. We're going to make it 3 wide, and Perez loses out to Kimi Raikkonen and ourselves. So loses 2 positions on just 1 corner. We dive down the inside of Raikkonen, make contact with the left rear of our teammate, and Button for another week's lost his front wing. So we're going to take this opportunity to head up into P9. We started this race in P18, and we've now managed to get all the way up to P9, so 9 positions in the space of about 7 corners. As we head to the next lap, we begin to chase down Maldonado and Massa ahead, who fortunately begin to have a battle at turn 8 and 9, giving us an opportunity to catch up and watch the overtake from Massa on Maldonado. Fortunately, Maldonado gets a bit of a poor exit considering he was so close to Massa, so we're going to chase him down all the way through 9 and 10 down to 11, and look at the pace we get on Maldonado, right all the way up close to him. When we go through 11, 12 and 13, can we get a move down into 14? We look, but it's not quite there. We bail out of it, think better of it. We've made plenty of positions this race. Let's see if we can get more as the race unfolds. As we go to lap 3, DRS enabled this lap, so it's going to be an easy pass on Maldonado, straight behind, no issues really as we head down into turn 8. Massa ahead. We need to get this position on Massa in order to try and close that gap in the championship. P6 is the target for the championship. Let's see if we can get any closer. We don't get DRS on our head down to turn 11, so it's going to be a few laps later. By the time we do catch up to Massa, it is lap 6, but we have to make our pit, so he stays out. This is our opportunity to get him on fresh tyres. We come into the pits, we get a good stop from our team, but we're just held slightly by Grosjean, who's taken his pit stop on the same lap. So we cut to the pit exit. I'm thinking we can probably get Grosjean on the exit here, but I'm not too confident on the pit exit, considering how if you do cross the white line on F1 2012 on the pit exit, you do receive a penalty. It's not a warning like it is on later games, so you just stick behind him because we're going to get DRS down the straight anyway, so let's keep it as close as we can get as we head down to turn 7, the hairpin, and we have the straight to follow, so we're behind Grosjean. We've got a good run on him anyway, and that's even before the DRS line. DRS is open. Fortunately, he's not close enough to get the slipstream, but we've got this awkward situation where behind him, we pull out for the move, we pull back in to get enough overspeed to make it to the corner, and what a comeback from Grosjean here. Cutting back, seeing the opportunity to retake that move on turn 9. Doesn't quite make it work, but nonetheless, a good defence, a good effort to retake that position there as we head down to Kobayashi, who is yet again on good pace to cause us a bit of bother as we try and make the overtake halfway through the Grand Prix. Looking down the inside for a move at 14, it's not there, we're too far behind, so we're going to have to wait later on in the lap to find a move. Lap 9, 2 laps later, there was a situation where I didn't have enough pace to get past Kobayashi, and I'd fall back and I'd get back with DRS. That was our saving grace, really, having DRS. So as we head around to turn 14, this time I get a much better run, and I'm going to make the move on this time. We get it through, no contact whatsoever. So Vettel is ahead. He's quite a few seconds ahead. We're up into P4 now, so at this point we will close that gap to Massa in the championship quite significantly. And there's no way I could catch up to Vettel for P3, so we're going to come home. Lewis Hamilton wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. At this point, I think he secured the championship a few races ago, but now it is not in doubt that he has won. Our teammate in P10, our rival in P12, we finish in P4. What a finish for ourselves. As we begin to round out the season, only 2 races left. USA and Brazil remain. So at the finish of this race, not only have we closed the gap to P6 ahead, in fact we've overhauled Felipe Massa by 1 point, but we're actually level with Kimi Raikkonen in the rivalry for the Lotus seat. We're on 3-3, so the next 2 races will decide if we are going to be racing for Lotus or Force India next year, so that's something to look out for in the next episode. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Thank you for your feedback as always. If you enjoyed the inclusion of the HUD, you've got YouTube user Zvixen? That's how I'm going to pronounce. Oh, if I've pronounced your names wrong, please correct me in the comments, but you can thank them for the inclusion of the HUD. I do think it adds much more clarity for the viewers watching. So if you've got any more suggestions along those lines, please do put them in the comments. I will look at them, I will reply hopefully. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing. It's not mandatory, but if you do enjoy it, I will be making more content, so that's a way that you can keep an eye out for that. Anyway, I won't keep you any longer. I've kept you here long enough. Thank you very much for watching. Do hope to see you in the next one. If not, no worries. Have a good day. I'll see you later. Goodbye.